And moving on, shocker from Congress's Salman Khurshid as well, where he questions the character of forces, says big question mark on their charitra. So that's another shocking statement coming in from senior Congress leader Salman Khurshid. My colleagues Mohit, Samya and Shireen joining us live on this broadcast. But before that, quickly playing out what Salman Khurshid said.
जिसके लिए बनाई है वो संतुष्ट हो जाए तो हमें क्या समस्या है, लेकिन जिसके लिए बनाई है वो बेचारा संतुष्ट नहीं है, वो चिल्ला रहा है, वो रो रहा है। तो जब तक वो रोएगा हमारा ये दायित्व बनता है कि उसकी रोने की बात, उसके दुख का विषय जो है वो हम देश के सामने रखें। और इसमें सिर्फ नौजवानों की समस्या नहीं है, नौजवानों की तो बहुत बड़ी समस्या है, बड़ी गंभीर समस्या है। लेकिन जो चरित्र है, जो कैरेक्टर है हमारी फोर्सेस का, उस पर एक प्रश्न चिन्ह लग गया है। वो हमारे लिए सबसे बड़ा संकट का विषय है।
Samya joining us with the latest. Samya, very shocking remark, because Salman Khurshid is questioning the charitra of our forces, the same forces who yesterday took to a press conference to break down details of the scheme further, to talk about how there will be no rollback and to talk about the intentions of those who are being misled deliberately.
Well, the Congress party by and large feels and maintains that this particular scheme of Agnipath and the Agniveers thereby is not a well thought out scheme, that the stakeholders have not been consulted, and there is a question mark on the future as to which side and which way would these trained youth veer towards. That question mark the Congress party is raising by and large, but they're not casting any aspersions on the character of the armed forces per se. So Salman Khurshid, the statement over here, the Congress party feels should be seen in that light. They are saying, of course, that the Congress party by and large does not support this sort of a scheme. They are all for youth and employment generation by the government schemes, but the stakeholders should have been consulted. This is being brought about in a matter of haste without much deliberation, and now it shouldn't be imposed upon the youth by and large, and that is the reason why they are witnessing a pan-India protest as the youth are
Though they've disagreed with this scheme all throughout, but a question mark on the forces is certainly uncalled for. Colonel R.S.N. Singh joining us on this broadcast. Colonel Singh, I don't know if you've heard what Salman Khurshid says, but those are his words. He's questioning the charitra of our forces, saying that inconvenience is certainly being caused, but as far as the situation is concerned, forces के चरित्र question mark उठता है.
No, he should worry about his own character. He should worry about the character that he carries. Carried when he said that Madam cried a lot after Batla House encounter. So he should decide. I mean, whether his sympathies lies here or down that side of the border, because his boss, he surreptitiously goes to the Chinese embassy. Then Madam goes and signs a MOU with China. So this fellow, he is a lawyer, and also sadly he was a minister also. So ask this gentleman to say what are the contents of that MOU. The same MOU that Jamaat-e Islami Pakistan signed with China, similar MOU was signed with them. And who are these people on the forefront? CPI-ML, Marxist, Leninist, who kidnapped the former air chief La Fontaine's wife, extorted money from him. They kidnapped a Jawan from my unit, right? And my postmate, I mean his brother, Group Captain R.K. Prasad, a fighter pilot, had to pay 10 lakh rupees. They're the same people of the Tukre gang, and His Highness and Her Highness, I mean, both lend support. And so these rascally, people, I mean, they are in the forefront of this, who have got pro-China sympathies. Doesn't the CPI-ML have, pro-China proclivities? Didn't it support the Tukre gang? Didn't the Queen Mother support the Tukre gang? Didn't the Prince support the Tukre gang? They should just be lifted from here and put behind the bars.
And Colonel Singh, all this when yesterday if we detail the press conference that was held by the officers from the three services, they'd essentially put out why there is a need that is being felt across the services that a younger lot takes over. So that's a shocker coming in. But before that, let me go across to thank you, Colonel Singh. Nalan Kohli of the BJP also joining us on the phone line. Mr. Kohli, what do you make of this kind of a comment coming in? Not the first Congress leader to get to this, to talk about our forces in this kind of a manner. It seems like the Congress party is more concerned about what is going to happen with these youth after the 4 years instead of focusing on what the scheme is really about.
It's completely condemnable, these kind of statements that are coming from senior Congress leaders. And it's becoming a pattern that Congress leader after Congress leader always draws the armed forces and tries to make a controversy of it, which is not in national interest. You remember the unfortunate statement about General name a street level gunda. It was by a senior. There were those who asked questions on Balkot that show us the proof on surgical strike. They are politicizing unnecessarily and in an incorrect manner the Agniveer scheme, or the Agnipath scheme as it is called. It's a good scheme. After all, after 4 years, people come out disciplined and trained. 25% of them are going to continue in the army, should they wish to. 10% of them are going to get reservations, which is part of the scheme, in terms of different ministries announcing it. They come out more disciplined. Look at how disciplined, and these youngsters, they get an opportunity to serve the country. They get trained well. When they come out in the private sector, they get good jobs, which is what happens to veterans who do serve in the army and come out after 5, 10, 15 years. And the politicizing this is doing great disservice to the country, to the army. And in its desperation to make a comment, they are not even reading the facts and are actually doing a misinformation campaign, which is not good in national interest and also shows their
and they've called for a nationwide protest. They've decided to stage a satyagraha at Jantar Mantar against the Agnipath scheme today as well. I thank you, Mr. Kohli, for sharing that perspective with us. Colonel V.N. Thapar is also joining us on the phone line. Colonel Thapar, is there a sense then, that we're picking up from parties like the Congress that they have a problem at the moment with the forces, with the officers representing the three services, talk about the scheme in detail and not the central leadership?
Well, actually, I would like to steer clear of the political parties and whatever the political people are doing. All I want to say is that whenever such a massive change is going to take place, there is bound to be certain disruption, and that has to be managed. In managing that particular change, both the government and the opposition have their role to play. I mean, there is no point. A lot of hard work has gone into designing the scheme and putting it on the ground now. Implementation stage is come. Therefore, at this stage, causing encumbrances, causing problems by any party whatsoever is not on. We have to find whatever solution the young people find, whatever problems the young people are projecting, we have to find solutions for them. Aggravating this issue on party agendas and their own thoughtless remarks by any and every politician is not really in the best interest of the country. I say once again that this huge change that is going to take place with the Indian Army is going to have its effects and to be managed both by the ruling dispensation and the opposition. They both have a very important role to play, and I request that this be handled very, very delicately. As it is, with little lack of misunderstanding of the scheme, so much chaos and so much loss has taken place. After all, the people who are doing this are also countrymen. And, now we are trying to put fear in them that they will not be allowed to join the army if they are in this. Rather than that, we should avoid this kind of behavior, because there are leaders who are instigating this kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
They must lay off it and, let the
And this can't keep going on, Colonel Thapar. Appreciate you sharing that perspective, because, you know, if there's a deliberate attempt made to instigate people or to fear, but then it's only going to lead to things going out of hand, and that is something we can't afford at this point in time.